Breaking news is a remarkable statement from the President of the United States about Saudi Arabia and the murder of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The President issuing a statement, covered the White House for 10 years. I've never seen anything like this. A remarkable statement that starts with the headline, America First, and an exclamation point. It goes on to make the case, even though our reporting is they have not had a final CIA report on the circumstances of the death sent to the President defiantly goes on to make the case that no matter what that report says, he will stand by Saudi Arabia and he will resist any calls from Congress for tougher sanctions that he does not think are appropriate. More directly from the statement in just a moment. Let's go first quickly to the White House and our reporter Sarah Westwood. Sarah, this is so striking. A lot of exclamation points, beginning with "the world is a very dangerous place." Take us inside how this came about.
That's right, John, and the president is acknowledging what we've been learning about the CIA assessment about Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's alleged involvement in this incident. The president writing, maybe he did and maybe he didn't know about the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. Of course, the Crown Prince's knowledge of the event before it took place last month is one of the central questions concerning how the U.S. should react to the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. Obviously, there are lawmakers from both sides on Capitol Hill who have been pushing this administration to take a tougher line against Saudi Arabia. The president saying he may consider whatever ideas Congress does send him in terms of sanctions done legislatively, but he won't do anything that violates the security of the United States. And again, he's continuing to tout the economic value of the relationship with Saudi Arabia. And again, pointing to Iran as a menace in the Middle East. That's been the central focus of why the administration has pursued this realignment with Saudi Arabia as its top ally in the Middle East, because the president is very much focused on countering Iranian influence. He's got a lot of hawks around him, like National Security Advisor John Bolton, who have been emphasizing that Iran is the greater menace. So the president here, John, is positioning himself to be able to not take tougher sanctions or tougher measures against Saudi Arabia, as his administration is awaiting the delivery to the White House today of an intelligence report assessing what the CIA knows about the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's involvement in this murder, John.
Sarah Westwood live at the White House. Important reporting. Thank you. It is a pass. If you read the statement, it is essentially, it's a presidential pass to the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The president he says he still hasn't received a final report from the CIA. He has been briefed. We know the initial findings of the CIA is that it has information, and it says with reasonable certainty, good certainty, that the Crown Prince ordered this murder. The President of the United States says in this statement, our intelligence agencies continue to assess all information, but it could very well be the Crown Prince had knowledge of this tragic event. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. That being said, we may never know all of the facts surrounding the murder of Mr. Jamal Khashoggi. In any case, our relationship is with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, period.
That's the important sentence, that second one.
Right.
Set aside the stylistic stuff. I get it, exclamation points galore, but set aside the stylistic stuff. This is basically what this president has argued since almost the very beginning. One, the Middle East is about containing or rolling back Iran. Two, the relationship with Saudi Arabia is pivotal to that. Three, the relationship with Saudi Arabia is larger than this one journalist who appears to have been murdered inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. And this repeated theme with the president, when someone is accused of something, someone he likes is accused of something and denies it, the president emphasizes the denials and then kind of throws up his hands and says, who can really know? So stripping away the stylistic stuff, this is very much where they've been most of the time since the early October murder of Jamal Khashoggi.
Yeah, I mean, the president has kicked the can down the road. He said 1 week, 2 weeks, that he'll make a final verdict on whether the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia was involved in this or knew anything about it. He just permanently kicked the can down the road on it by saying we may never know what really happened here. And he's essentially said our alliance with the Saudi kingdom is more important than any human rights atrocity that they may ever commit.
He's essentially saying here, I don't care what happened. I don't care what happened. I'm sticking with Saudi Arabia.
This is what America First means to the president. It's this strategic alliance, whether it's military arms sales, a shared rivalry with Iran, the selling of arms, things like that, are more important than moral considerations. And this distinguishes him from previous presidents, whether it's a progressive like Barack Obama, humanitarian considerations were important to him. Whether it's someone like George W. Bush, moral humanitarian considerations were important to him as well. This is what America First means and what nationalism means to President Trump.
Let me just counter and say that the presidents of both parties have looked away at Saudi human rights abuses for decades. I mean, this president is not the first one to say that on balance the relationship needs to overlook the warts and focus on the underlying thing. It's just a little striking because Because in part he's opening the door to the possibility that in fact, yeah, the Crown Prince may have done it. It doesn't matter.
It's the first statement I've seen from a president that essentially admits, yes, it's a terrible thing, he says. Could be a terrible thing. Crown Prince might have known, might not have known. Essentially says, but think about the money here. This is a statement from the President of the United States. After my heavily negotiated trip to Saudi Arabia last year, the kingdom agreed to spend and invest $450 billion in the United States. That's a record amount of money. It will create hundreds of thousands of jobs, tremendous economic development. He goes on and on. Now, the president has overstated these numbers on some occasions, but here's a presidential statement that says they're going to spend money in the United States of America. So they killed a guy.
And we can't forget the fact that this is going to really escalate the confrontation in Congress, because we already have had many Republican senators, Senator Corker among them, saying if the administration doesn't act in response to this, we will. And that presidential statement gives them more fodder for action in the coming weeks.